Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. And I wanted to do a response to this video that was uploaded by the Elder Bishop Ayathan, out of the Connecticut camp, of the up there with the apostles and the bishops and the rest of the elders as well. As you can see, the title of his page, Fire Cures Leprosy. Subscribe and be edified. The title of the video that I will be responding to is Prophesying with Head Covered is a Pagan Ritual. All right. And we're living in a time, as Peter warned us, all right. Let's get that right here in the book of 2 Peter, chapter 2 and 1. It says, "But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you." All right. As Paul said in one of his letters, of your own camps, people who would be a part of your camps and maybe leave and do their own thing, with men arise speaking perverse things. All right. So Peter is letting us hear that there's going to be false teachers among us who should privily bring in damnable heresies. All right. And one of the damnable heresies, all right, as you know, we've entered into the labors of other men. All right. And ultimately, we've entered into the labors of Yahweh Shai. We're built upon the foundation of the apostles and prophets. All right. So as the scriptures say, we have to strive lawfully, you see. And there's a particular manner, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai that's going to be pushed through the leadership that we should follow. All right. But particular men come in and bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them. All right. And bring upon themselves swift destruction. And that's what's going to happen. All right. And we're seeing those damnable heresies. Now, when you look up this word heresy, before we get into the lesson, I just wanted to touch into this. All right. All right. Heresies, just get to the point, a body of men following their own tenets, sect, or party. All right, of the Sadducees, Pharisees, and then you had the so-called Christians, which are the followers of Yahweh Shai. Dissensions arising from diversity of opinions and aims. All right, and you see these particular back and forths, and what you need to know is that this is of the Spirit of the Lord. As Paul said, there would be, divisions amongst you. All right, and that's going to happen. All right, so any of you people who are watching, and you get tired of the back and forth, well, you must know this is what happened when Yahweh Shai was on the scene. All right. And this is damn sure what happened to his followers, his disciples. All right. Ultimately, they were being accused of speaking against Moses, against the temple, against the law. And that's the same thing that we're being accused of, as we saw the video Deacon Hakab, the Sakari, did yesterday, where he blatantly lied on us, pushing the notion that we teach hell. And they're pushing the notion that we're teaching our people against the law. And any of you people who watch us, all right, have you ever got the notion that we're telling you don't have to keep the law? Absolutely not. All right. We just put more emphasis, all right, on belief in Yahweh Shai's sacrifice. All right. That blood, all right, the death, burial, and resurrection is the only way we can have perfection. All right. And belief on that, all right, is how we are justified. But of course, as you believe that and have faith in that, what you hear, all right, you're going to be moved, all right, to keep the laws. All right. And every year you see us do the Passover. We're always getting on people for, pushing, false doctrines. We continuously, get on the Christians. But these individuals who are coming with these arguments, as we've been doing videos, they're just backing their lot. All right. As the so-called religious leaders of the day, persecuting the church. All right. For putting more emphasis in Yahweh Shai's sacrifice. All right. Over the law of Moses. All right. And ultimately, they're going to bring upon themselves swift destruction. You see, so this is nothing new. OK, look up why they stoned Stephen. They pretty much lied on him and pretty much, bear false witness. And we're going to have to undergo those same things. All right. So yeah, brothers are responding to that garbage video, which ultimately this all started, and we've been going back and forth with these characters for years. But this all started because their leader, all right, openly said Paul's writings have no authority. They openly go out and teach with their heads covered. All right. And we go to Paul's writing and let you know, ultimately, Paul was letting the church know at that time, all right, as they were, in that Greco-Roman captivity, turning from the idols that they were in. They were trying to what? Institute some of the pagan customs into the church. So Paul had to address these things. And we'll get into it. Basically that which is then is now. So they'll, read from Paul's writings to, cut the woman and let her know the man is over her. But the very next verse, okay, where he says a man shouldn't have his head covered while prophesying, which is likened unto us offering up a sacrifice, they'll say that that's not authorized because what? It goes against their motives. It goes against what they want to do. Okay? And some of us have messed up hairlines, lost our hair. All right? You got to get over that. All right? You got to get over that, man. All right? But they've pretty much pushed this spirit of men just raising up all over the earth, prophesying and teaching with wave caps and hats on at the same time, the G unit look. All right. So what they're doing is they're bringing in damnable heresies. Okay. And again, many, as verse 2 says, shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the truth shall be evil spoken of. So many are going to follow their pernicious ways. So it's our job through the Spirit to have something to say. All right. You would think every Israelite, all right, who believes that Paul's writings have authority would be doing videos on these guys. All right. But it's only always one group. All right. All right. Which there's other groups as well that have addressed it. But you would think that there would be more videos. All right. Speaking against what these individuals are saying. But it's just us. And most Israel, the way that they operate is if you don't say nothing about me, I'm not going to say nothing about you. Well, that's not what we've been called to do. All right. So a part of this sacrifice is saying something, putting our neck on the line. And they get mad at that. So what they do is they do videos, pretty much diverting, all right, deflecting from the original point, because now they're backtracking. Well, some of his writings are authority, and pretty much trying to, sow discord between Paul, all right, and Yahweh Shai. And we've been going through some of these things, all right, which Paul was given the power to heal, all right. Paul was set up as a vessel to go and teach the Gentiles. So his position, all right, had to come from a position of grace, which sometimes even in the scriptures, all right, those who were raised as Jews, all right, didn't fully understand. This is why Peter wrote, all right, telling us that people will stumble over Paul's writings, and we're witnessing that happen, all right before our eyes. This is how you know Yahweh Bashmiel Shai is in control. All right, there is no free will. These men are under they're falling into that trap. All right. And they try to present themselves as teachers of the law. But as the scriptures say, real quick, let's get it real quick. Desire to be teachers of the law. Let's see here. I know it's in Timothy's. All right, this is the book of 1 Timothy's 1, all right, and 7, desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor wherefore of they affirm. All right, NLT, they want to be known as teachers of the law of Moses. All right, but they don't know what they're talking about, even though they speak so confidently. All right. But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully. So the law is good, and we teach you Israelites to keep the law. All right. But we ultimately put Yahweh Shai's sacrifice over those things, and faith in that, and belief in that, and confession. All right. That he rose, and all of these various different things take precedence over that. All right. But again, they don't understand how to find the fine line between that. As it says in the book of Corinthians. Let's get it real quick. All right. In the book of 2 Corinthians. 2 and 3. Let's get it in the NLT. But the people's minds were hardened, and to this day, whenever the old covenant is being read, all right, which again, we are not under the old covenant, we're under a grace period. All right, but that doesn't mean the laws, all right, aren't to be used as a guide as to how to live your life. All right, absolutely they should be. All right, but it's through belief we are saved in this grace period, faith. All right. Again, you had the example of the rich man who kept all of the laws, but what did he lack? Faith. Okay. You had a man who basically boasted in all of the laws he kept. Then you had a man who was crushed and said, I'm a sinner, I need help, which was justified. Okay. So there's a weightier matter here that these individuals just don't seem to get. And they're not contrite, they're not broken, they're high-minded. Okay. And this was the same arguments that was going on with the Church of Yahushua back then. So it's beautiful that you brothers and sisters get to see it. All right. And those who are swept away and led to believe the lies that these individuals are pushing, you know, deflecting, we worship Apostle Tahar, we this, we sold out, you know, all of this madness, then hey, you're just going to be swept away with them. All right. But us in our house, we're just going to continue to edify and bring this truth out. So it says, but the people's minds were hardened, and to this day, whenever the old covenant is being read, the same veil covers their minds, so they cannot understand the truth. And this veil can be removed only by fully believing in Yahushua. And they call on Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, but then they even push the notion we're not supposed to worship Yahushua. They have a problem with Yahushua's priesthood in the sense that they think that in the kingdom he's going to reestablish the Levitical priesthood, which no other priesthood should even matter outside of the priesthood after the order of Melchizedek, which is far better. It's predicated upon being born directly of the Most High and having those spiritual bodies. Whereas the Levitical priesthood, you had to be born physically, all right, through a male Levite, or to be a high priest, you had to be born through the loins and lineage of Aaron. And that ministry, that covenant, all right, destroyed us. All right. It's called a ministry of death because ultimately it exposed how ultimately wicked we were and how much we needed Yahushua's sacrifice. You see? So the veil is over their mind. All right. Which you can only have that veil removed by fully trusting in Yahushua. Yes, even today, when they read Moses' writings, their hearts, their minds are covered with that veil and they do not understand. But whenever someone fully turns, all right, to Yahushua, the veil is taken away. All right, so we're witnessing these men have that veil still over their mind. Now let's finish this in Peter, all right, because it says, and many would follow their pernicious ways, 2 Peter 2 and 2, and through covetousness shall they with vain words make merchandise of you. See, with well put together words, big words, you know, and they operate like witches. They're able to take words and do this and that and really make people to believe, all right, and galvanize people's minds to believe that you hate Levi, you hate Moses, you hate the law, that you sold out, that, you know, meanwhile they're hand in hand with a group, IUIC, that teaches against the mark of the beast, being the charagma. They teach against the name of the Most High, and that's cool. Meanwhile, that they didn't sell out. Meanwhile, you rub elbows with the likes of Sonetta, Divine Prospect, and all of these weirdos, all right, who mean you know well in the spirit. Okay? So ultimately, then you're on the platform like No Jumper Podcast, right? Which the No Jumper Podcast, the guy who runs that thing is a clear Satanist, Adam 22. All right, and he's openly allowing his wife to be pounded out by other men. Okay, you want to attack, you and ISUPK went on that platform. You want to tie yourself to individuals like that, all right, and put it out there as we spreading the word and y'all jealous of my, you know, look, I could have easily taken my personality and my writing skills and, you know, comedic genius, because I'm good at it. I ain't gonna sit here in front, all right, and I'm just saying that through the spirit, and use that, all right, to make money. All right, because it comes out a little bit in the videos, but honestly, man, I know I could have made it in that field. I have confidence. I could have easily taken certain aspects of, you know, my gift in that area and used it to make money for this truth. and been on a way higher level than you guys. You guys don't even know how to go off right. But ultimately, we're pouring our oil on Yahushai. We're not here for that. And we know we're going to shine in any way when it's all said and done. Okay? So they're going to use clever words and lies to get hold of your money. All right? But God condemned them long time ago, and their destruction will not be delayed. So I just wanted to go into that real quick. So let's go back. This is the Elder Ayathon, the Bishop Elder Ayathon's video, prophesying with head covered as a pagan ritual.
Paul say to not have, a man should not have his head covered. And the reason is because it goes back to a pagan ritual practice by the Romans, which really goes back to the Greeks. And it's called, in the Latin, this practice is called, let me bring it up. It's called capite velato. Capite velato. Let me play it.
Capite velato.
Capite velato. Capite velato. Trying to get my Apostle Gabar spirit.
Getting that Apostle Gabar spirit. Capite velato. All right, you know how Apostle Gabar gets down. All right, so, and he knows Italian. All right, but there you go. And that's what we're going to tap into now. The scripture that is being rebelled against in this matter is here in 1 Corinthians 11. Now, as you read this chapter again, these individuals have been on camera using verse 3, all right, 1 Corinthians 11 and 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and that the head of the woman is the man, and that the head of Hamashiach is the Most High God Yahweh, right? They use that to cut the woman and let them know, right? They use many of Paul's writings. All right, this is why when y'all your leader got on the video saying none of his writings are authoritative, we had something to say, because that's hypocritical. So they backtrack the deacon, all right, which the deacon is a very good friend to Alazar. I'll say that. All right, he'll, pretty much, cut for him. And even though he knows it's hypocritical, he's going to get on video and defend this guy. All right, and then go all around and find clips and do this and do that to pretty much say we got to make them look bad because they know that was not a good look. Then to have your clothing line and website named after a quoting of Paul, all right, put on the full armor, all right, which that's a quoting of Paul in the book of Philippians, I believe the fourth or the sixth chapter. All right, Philippians 4, Philippians 6, one of them, put on the full armor of Yahushua. So they have a clothing line named after Paul's writings. They use Paul's writings to, for their advantage. But then when it tells them and corrects them, then it's not authoritative. Then they have to find ways to pit his words because they don't understand. And Peter warned them about that. So the very next scripture in this chapter, and we're going to keep going. We're going to keep edifying, and then eventually when the Spirit tells us, we'll just move on. You guys can keep doing your videos and making up shit and trying to go to deflect from what you said and how bad you look. But the bottom line is you're leading men and women in this confusion and rebellion. Okay, and pushing the notion that you left GMS behind the grape issue is a lie. You got kicked out, and your leader went before the Apostle Tahar and openly said, I understand what y'all are saying about grape. I know y'all ain't saying. So now you guys are just hypocrites, wicked, and you're in the hands of the Lord. All right. And whoever from among you, are going to be pulled out of the fire, or even if you all repent, call halal Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But we're just going to keep doing our job. You can keep trying to make us look bad. Say we speak against the law of Moses, whatever. But the Passover is coming up. We're going to have a Passover ceremony, Lord willing, if we're here. Point blank, period. All right. Which is the law. Anyway, 1 Corinthians 11 and 5. All right. 4, it says, at the very next verse. All right. So here it is. Paul is authority in verse 3. But verse 4, every man praying or prophesying having his head covered dishonoreth his head. Okay. Now, to get to the custom as the elder is going into, let's see if we can pull up. Because I have a few things here. Let's pull this up in the Bible Hub. All right, Eliot's commentary, just get a few of what, these so-called scholars say. It says the reference here is to public prayer, all right, the apostle, all right, which when we go out to the highways and the byways, it's likened unto making our bodies a living sacrifice. The scriptures say there will be altars to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, right? And when you look at the title of this video, prophesying with head covered is a pagan ritual and is centered around sacrifice. And it goes back to the Greco-Roman Empire, which the Church of Corinth, all right, was within that, that realm, all right. Corinth was lit. Many idols and things were going on in Corinth, all right. If you were in Corinth, it's like being in Las Vegas, okay. But even it was even more blatant idol worship out there. So it says the apostle. Let's see here. Let's see here. All right, having his head covered, which seems to be the practice of some to do in attendance of public worship. This they did in imitation of the heathen. All right. Now, the custom that the elder bishop is bringing out here. All right, let's go to that. It's called capite velato. All right. In the Latin, there's a phrase called capite velato, meaning literally with head covered. The term is used for Roman religious contexts to refer to the act of covering head with a veil when performing sacrifices. It is said that the Etruscans, by contrast, did things Greek style, all right, with bare head, all right. Now, let's see here. It says, at the practice of public rituals in ancient Rome, all right, officiants prayed, sacrificed, offered libations, and practiced, all right, augury, which you go to the augury, inauguration today. And here in America, you have the, they use inauguration that's going into witchcraft and, divination and, fortune telling and looking into the future. All right. But augury, all right, let's look that word up. See if we can get that word. Augury is a sign of what would happen in the future. Okay. And you have inauguration today here in America. All right. In omen, they heard the sound of an augury, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And we're in the Greco-Roman Empire all over again, right? So it says, capite velato, with the head covered by a fold of a toga drawn from the back. This covering of the head is distinctively, all right, feature of the Roman rite in contrast with Etruscan, which the Japhetic people who, ruled that land before the Edomites took over it, practice, or ritus gracious, a Greek rite. So this all comes from the Greco-Roman, all right, and you see these individuals at camp even, all right, with these kind of coverings over their head, right? Now, the hat itself, as we'll show you, actually goes back to the Greek, all right? So what they're doing, as we'll show you, is they're entering in pagan customs, all right, into our customs, all right? And this is what ancient leaders did back then. Now, what I want to do is go here. Let's go to, let's see here. Let's go to, let's see where we're going to go next. Here, let's go to 2nd Maccabees, all right, which you should read this history, which the wicked rulers of that day who were linked with the leaders of the, the Greek Empire, all right, the Greco-Roman Empire, all right, they as you can see here, they did wickedness, man. Let's see here. Let's get to verse 9. Besides this, all right, so this is the book of 2nd Maccabees, chapter 4, and we'll start at 9. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more, if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise for the training of the youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write, all right, them of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians, all right? So they wanted to put their name on them, and then you would get branded as well. Okay, all of the rights that we see that are being brought back today, that were done back then. All right. And when the king had granted, he had gotten into his hand the rule of forthright, he brought his own nation into Greekish fashion. Okay. And the royal privileges granted a special favor to the Jews by the mean of John, the father of Epalymus, who went ambassador to Rome for enmity and aid, he took away in putting down governments which were according to the law. He brought up new customs against the law. Okay? And this is what they're doing. Meanwhile, as we'll deal with the meat sacrificed to idols, not the rituals, all right, but the meat, all right, that will be sacrificed to idols that was sold in the markets. They want to say that because we're saying you can eat that, the meat itself, all right, which they eat it. Niggas eat Taco Bell. Niggas eat Church's chicken. Niggas eat halal meat. Everything here we eat is offered to an idol. Okay, but we'll get into that, Lord willing, this week. Okay, to bring out the full understanding, because we went into it on the highways, but I want to do a lesson going into it to bring comfort to the elect on that topic. Okay, it says, right, and that's just talking about meat, eating of meat. These dudes are actually bringing in these practices into the truth. All right, acting under the authority of priest. All right. So it says, for he gladly built a place of exercise under the tower itself and brought the chief young men under his subjection and made them wear a hat. See, he made them wear a hat. That's the Greek. He brought them under the Greekish fashion, which was what? Associated with wearing a hat. All right. And you see the small hats today, they have that little yarmulke on their head. Okay, though all of that stuff goes back to heathenistic customs, which the leadership of the Jews at one point, all right, who started to write certain things, the Talmud and stuff like that, which, you know, they did that, as we'll show you. They had started to get in league with the Greco-Roman, power structure, and they were what? Bringing their people into these fashions, man. And we see that same thing with these guys. The way that they present the truth is very worldly. See? And they're bringing their people into what? Greekish customs. We're in the Greco-Roman Empire all over again, and they're molding you in that fashion, trying to act as if they're really hardcore about the law. You see? Wearing a hat, all right? Now, such was the height of Greekish fashions and increase of heathenistic manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, okay, ungodly wretch, and no high priest. So it was a guy named Jason, which that's a Greek name, but he was a Jew, all right, a priest, all right. He was of the tribe of Levi, all right, a high priest who had got in that position. And what did he do? He brought his people, all right, to do wickedness, man. See? And he would basically force the Israelites for his own, belly, to get favor with the ruler, the Greeks, to take on Greekish fashion. See? And he called him no high priest, but a wretch. But he was in that position and people had to listen to him. You see? Now, when you go to this custom of wearing a hat with the Greeks, let's go here real quick to Pestissos, okay? See, we're bringing out this truth and sincerity. We're just telling you this. You do what the hell you want to do. Greek, a pestissos, Greek, a pestissus, Latin, is a broad-brimmed hat, all right, of Thessalian, all right, Thessalian, all right. Let's see what that is. I think that's Thessalian. Is that Thessalonica? No, Thessalian, ancient Thessalian is a traditional. Yeah, it's a region. We had churches set up in this region. Okay, we had churches set up in this region. So the thing is, when you hear Paul address this, let's go back real quick. When you hear Paul addressing this in the book of 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, okay, there were churches being raised up among the heathen, turning from those idols, right? As it says in the very next chapter, all right, ye know that you were pagans, you were Gentiles, carried away of these dumb idols. Okay, so there would be time where Paul, after he visited these churches, he would have to write letters because he would hear things. Okay, well, now they're falling back into certain practices. Like you would you would hear like in the book of Timothy, I suffer not. Okay. And it's funny, their argument as we read 1 Corinthians 11:4 is, why wouldn't Paul write this to the church of Ephesus? That's their argument. He didn't write this to the church of Ephesus. So that gives us the ability to do this. Then they'll try to tie it to a mitre, a baseball hat to a mitre, which shows you these guys are just completely gone, man. So because it's not written to the church of Ephesus, right, it's okay for them to do it? No. Maybe the church of Ephesus didn't have issues with the hat. The thing is, it's written here for our learning so that we can know, because we're scattered here today in Babylon the Great, which is a fulfillment of the revival of the Greco-Roman Empire. Those same customs are going to appear. Now, you're not wicked if you're just wearing a hat in your everyday life. Okay, we're here. We wear Nikes. That's associated with a Greek goddess. We understand. Okay, but when we tie things to the ministry, and when we go out here to make our bodies a living sacrifice, it wouldn't make sense to wear a wave cap and a hat and preach the word of the Most High. All right. When we're bringing this out, showing you Paul warned about this. So what they'll say is, well, Paul's writings don't have authority because it cuts them. So where it cuts them, it doesn't apply. Where it doesn't, and they can use it for their benefit, they make money off of it. Like when they needed money for that camera, they went right to Paul's writings to be a cheerful giver, help us. We need a camera. We can't do a live show because we lost our camera. Meanwhile, they're recording. You don't think that's hypocritical, man? People see through your bullshit, but there's particular people who are going to follow those pernicious ways, and we get it. And it's going to be more of them than it is of us. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? So, again, when you read Timothy, all right, where it says, but I suffer not a woman to teach, 1 Timothy 2:12, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. What was happening amongst that church? You had women in their pride being put in positions of authority, because what was big in that particular region? Ephesus, where Timothy was being sent. Woman worship. See? So these were things that would have to be addressed. You have that woman worship spirit here in Israel today, where you have particular Israelites who will allow women to have authority in their churches to do this. And what does it cause? Confusion. So this is why Paul said, I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over man, because guess what was happening in that region? Heavy idol worship, woman worship, which would trickle its way back into the church, because again, these were Gentiles turning from these ways. You see, it should make perfect sense unto you. So going back, this custom, all right, of Thessalonica origin, worn by the ancient Greeks, Thracians, and Etruscans, often in combination with a chlamys cape. It was the model of wool. It was made of wool, leather, straw, or animal skin. Women's versions had a high crown, while those, all right, men wore a leather crown. It was worn primarily by farmers, travelers, hunters, all right, which today you have hats. Okay, that goes back to a custom that's not of the Jews. Now, again, are you wicked if you have a hat? You know, brothers like hats. There's nothing wrong with that. We're here, all right? But the bottom line is, when you're doing these things in association with going to the altar, the sacrifice, all right, then you're tripping. It shouldn't be done. It's a mockery to sit there and teach the word of the Most High with a wave cap and a hat on. Okay, it just puts a stench on the word. And again, this is a heathen custom, okay, that they associated with their sacrifices. Okay, it was worn primarily by farmers, travelers, and hunters. It was considered a characteristic of rural people. A winged hat became the symbol of Hermes, the Greek mythological messenger god. Hermes, which that's where you get the term hermaphrodite. Hermes is in that. Hermes is an Olympian deity in ancient Greek religion, mythology, considered the herald of the gods. But these dudes want to make it seem like they're so into the law, the this, the that, the law. But again, they're not even careful enough. Again, this is what? Irresponsible leadership. That's all it is. Okay? And look what he had on. That hat. Okay, you see he had that hat on? So they will wear the hat in, in that in those particular empires to honor particular gods. Okay? Along with Peleus, the petosos was the most common hat worn in ancient Greece. Its wide brim protected the wearer from the sun, all right, and rain, and a lengthy strap followed the ears to secure it under the chin. It is its popularity later extended to the Etruscans, the Byzantine Empire, and the Roman Empire in slightly modified forms, and it's here back today in slightly modified forms. And now you can put you know, Indian logo on it and say it's associated with a baseball team and make money off of it. But the energy of it doesn't go back to the customs of the Jews. All right. Type of metal hat worn in ancient cavalry. All right. Then it has the gallery. Okay. You can see it. Okay. So again, let's see. Pestos wearing youth with leopard skin. And a lot of the Jews, as we went into the Greco-Roman Empire, okay, as we see here, there was a particular high priest, all right, here in the Maccabees, okay, that what? They made them wear a hat, okay? Made them wear a hat, verse 12. So they built a place of exercises, which is where you get gymnos, right? Gymnos, right? And that means naked. Jake was working out naked, all right? But here you go. They made them wear a hat. And again, brothers are going to be into things. We understand, you know, but again, they're associating this with the ministry. And that's where they're going off. Okay. Now to finish this off, I just wanted to get here because it's really not that deep, but we just tapping into this for the purpose of the spirit, you know. This is a particular article pulled up by one of the brothers. It says the Pharisees' rival sect, the Sadducees, welcomed Greek influence. The Sadducees were wealthy, all right, powerful Jewish aristocrats who openly worked with their Gentile rulers to maintain peace and ensure a measure of political clout. You have a lot of these dudes back today doing that. Okay? So what do? They welcomed the Greek influence, all right, and pushed it upon their people. Okay? And you can read more up on that. The Sadducees, all right? Which I'm not saying the Sakari have Sadducee belief systems, all right? Because I believe it was them that didn't believe in the, you know, reincarnation and stuff like that. But again, you see that our people, all right, that were, you know, supposed to be, you know, teachers of the law, all right, those of the circumcision, they started to welcome Greek influence, you see, to keep their position, to be hand in hand with the Romans. And you see that today. Look at IUIC. What do they push? They push more of a worldly mentality on our people. Even marriage, they push marriage certificates, which is nothing to do with the laws of the Most High. See, there were things written down in agreements between families, and marriage was consummated by sex. That's the law. Then you would have the token of virginity. They mock that notion, and they push to you, you got to get married to these women, all right, by the state of wherever you are, which enters a third party into your marriage. And that usually does not work out well for Israelite men. But they're pushing that mindset. Okay, auctioning off men and women at their Passovers. You see, doing all of these worldly things. You have many of these camps, all right, doing worldly things, all right, to say that they're, you know, you got to, you know, become, then they go into, I become to the uncircumcision, I become to the uncircumcision. Then they go to Paul's writings. The Sadducees, the righteous, it says, all right, the religious party at the time Yahweh Shai was on the scene, all right, among the Jews who denied the oral law, all right, because you would have particular laws that they would just make up. And these dudes doing that, okay? And now it's okay to wear a hat. What scripture says that we wore? Then what they do is they go to the mitri, which was wrapped around the ears, but it left a hole at the top. Now, within our customs, there were particular rituals, like a mourning ritual where you would cover your head. All right, but when you went to offer up a sacrifice, your head wasn't covered, man. Okay? It says, was a revelation of God to the Israelites who deemed the written law alone to be obligatory on the nation. All right, as the divine authority, they denied the following doctrines: resurrection of the body, immortality. And this is what these guys are saying. The Sakari is saying we're not going to live forever. All right, meaning, after 1,000 years, we'll, die or go back to the spirit realm because the earth will be overpopulated. Okay, again, we see these doctrines coming back here today. All right, so again, you would have particular sects that would, have the oral law, traditions passed down from their fathers and deem that to be the law. You had some who believed in written law alone. All right, the laws, to be the only, it was all kind of doctrines and mindsets going on here, and we see those things presenting themselves today. So marvel not that you see these arguments, and marvel not that these dudes will get on camera and sit there and blatantly lie because they have no fear and their egos are hurt. And they're watching this right now, mad, preparing a video to make us look as bad as possible. Next, they're going to bring up grape, which here it is. You're supposed to be a master of the law, but you don't have the wherewithal to just admit that we have a law on how to handle grape if it happens, which we're going to tap back into that. Why not? All right, because putting that law in place, if a man knew that he would have to, pay and take that woman as his wife, if he touched her, if you break, you buy, then he most likely he wouldn't do it. There's a scripture in Sirach that taps into that. All right, and I'm gonna go into it, Lord willing. All right, tendencies of the Sadducees towards Hellenism. All right. It says I'm gonna just read it. The priestly party only gradually crystallized into the sect of the Sadducees after the return from exile. The high priest drew to himself all power, civil and religious, and these were the ones who had problems with Yahushua. These were the ones who had authority to have him offer up as a sacrifice. Okay, it says. To the Persian authorities, he was the king of the Jews. The high priest and those about him were persons who had to do with the heathen supreme government. Okay? Like Nate. And the heathen nationalities around. This association would tend to lessen their religious fervor. All right? Because they were getting paid. This is why when Yahushua came on the scene, they were like, if we let this man continue, then the Romans are going to take away our place. Okay? It says, and by reaction, this roused the zeal of a section of the people for the law. With the Greek domination, the power of the high priest home was increased. But they became still more subservient to their heathen masters. You have Esau's paperwork, all right, to forward the truth. Deacon Asaph. Well, Asaph is a Hebrew name. But then that same guy will tell you we don't have to have the Most High doesn't have a Hebrew name. Anyway, it says with the Greek domination, the power of high priests at home was increased, but they still became more subservient to their heathen masters. Who knows what kind of deals these guys have taken, trying to call us sellouts. All right, you're bringing in more of a heathenistic fashion in a worldly vibration to the truth, but you're hiding it under we keeping these laws. Shut your ass up, nigga. Shut your dumb ass down. It says, It says, and were leaders in the Hellenizing movement. They took no part of the Maccabean struggle, which was mainly supported by their opponents, all right, the Nasidim, all right, as they were called, the Hasidims, or the Hasmonean dynasty, I believe that's what it's talking about, all right. Maybe not, I have to do more study on it. But basically what you can see is that the rulers, okay, as a matter of fact, let's get that in the scriptures. All right. Okay. John 11 and 48. Because Yahushua was on fire. His followers were on fire. But what did they say? John 11 and 48. If we allow him to go on like this, soon everyone will believe on him. Then the Roman army will come and destroy both our temple and our nation. Because they were winning. The leaders, the religious rulers, they were winning. All right. But what they were doing is bringing in Greco-Roman fashion into the fold, bringing their people under the which the Greeks, the rulers of the Romans and the Greeks, they didn't have no problem with that. Yeah. Bring them niggas into the Greco-Roman fashion. Okay. Who they really had a problem with was the church of Yahushua. That's what led to us being kicked out of Rome. The stance of the church of Yahushua. So the religious leaders were like, hell no, we got to stop this. Okay. And it's wicked because they knew that Yahushua had to die. They knew that someone had to come and do what he did, but they still were against him. But anyway, I just wanted to tap into that. That's the point. We ain't going to go too deeper into it. You brothers can do more research with the points given, if you would like to. If not, that's the point. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yashai, Bashem Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.